congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
First and foremost. Really, we were just talking about it just now and went on for like 20 minutes about different things, about the character and the story and everything else. So it's one of those movies that gets you talking. I can imagine when you read the script that you had so many questions to ask.
Yeah, loads of questions, lots of ideas about what way it could go, and we played around with it quite a good bit. But its chief interest for me was the character was really kind of intriguing in itself. You know, he's a very vulnerable sort of. We were kind of reluctant to call him autistic in some way, but he's definitely not sort of neurotypical, and it's really lovely sort of vulnerable character, and something that was felt new for me, you know.
Yeah, was it something that you kind of sought out, or did this kind of come to you, or was it a bit of both?
They came to me. Whenever that was just a couple of years ago now. Before we started filming, about a year and a half ago, I think. And they came to me, and it was with a lot of independent films, it takes a while to get going. So we went over to Griffin, Georgia, and we filmed it there, which is a bleak place, to be perfectly honest. No offense to the people of Griffin, but it's got a very particular atmosphere that helped for the film. It's sort of very disenfranchised people, a lot of fast food restaurants and stuff. So for Donald, who's a bin man, who's a pretty disenfranchised, lonely guy, it certainly helped get into the character. Yeah,
I mean, because it does shine a light on those parts of America that are kind of being forgotten now.
Yeah,
in terms of that, because where the film's set is kind of poverty stricken, and they're trying to make ends meet, and you all know each other, but you're very much in this kind of dire straits with each other. I mean, was there any kind of research that you did, or places that you went to try and...
Well, it was more about the sort of sense of neglect. I think one of the reasons that I didn't want to diagnose the character too much is that I don't think he would have been diagnosed himself there. I think he would have been... I think there was such an apathy towards him in the story that people wouldn't, if they thought that he might have Asperger's or beyond the autistic scale, they wouldn't have had the care to diagnose him. And so for that reason, what happens in the story is that there's a murder of a young boy, and I think somehow kind of unconsciously Donald begins to sort of defend himself through this little boy. He sort of feels a kinship with this little boy because they don't seem to be investigating this disappearance of this boy, and he's kind of standing up for the boy kind of unconsciously. I don't think it's a conscious decision, but he becomes slightly obsessed, and he's got a very particular way of thinking, they start to just ignore him more and more, and the more he's ignored, the more the obsession grows.
Yeah, because with the character, with the story, you know, he with everything that's going on in his brain, the one kind of true thought that he has is that there's an injustice here, and something has to be done.
Yeah.
But as you say, he's kind of pushed aside. Everyone's like, oh, he's just being him, or however he's perceived in the community. But actually, he's probably the one person that strangely kind of cares and kind of sees the injustice, if you like.
Yeah, I think that's really true, and those kind of characters aren't listened to a lot. It was fascinating to me. We shot it around the time Trump was coming to power.
Right.
And it was fascinating, this character called Donald, who's the most, the lowest rung of the ladder in America and not listened to, who's completely vulnerable, and another character called Donald, who runs the country, and presents no vulnerability at all. And to my mind, the one that's actually more mentally ill is the one who can't admit any kind of fallibility at all. It's sort of much more crazy to my mind than the other.
Yeah, and everything as well, which he obviously is very kind of protective of this kid and what's happened to him, because he's a father himself, and he has this great relationship with his daughter, and obviously there's a kind of disconnect between him and his ex-partner, that kind of stuff. But the one thing, again, one of the great things about him is that he's a really caring dad, and that's one of the things that kind of drives him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's sort of a familiar relationship. He's lost his own father, and he's a hero. This character's a hero. He's a very atypical hero, but he's certainly a hero. He's literally picks up people's rubbish.
Yeah. But this to help you kind of flex some different muscles that you hadn't before, because obviously people have seen you in Sherlock, and Fleabag, and everything else, and this is I guess very different. But it must be great to dive into those kind of things.
It's kind of what I read. It's what the actor's dream is. It's my first American indie film, and I really relished that challenge, and sort of in the theatre I maybe played a couple of characters sort of similar in the theatre, but this is the first time really on film. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. I do, you want to keep it as all the balls juggling in the air at one point, theatre, film and TV, and character wise as well. And so I was kind of wanted at that time to sort of steer away from villain territory.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice opportunity to do that.
And obviously for you, I guess going to America and making an indie film, and there's so many indie films out there that are so amazing that just don't get either financing, don't get distribution, and Netflix plays a big part of that now. How are you feeling about the kind of the way this is going to be released and how people are going to see it? Are you happy just people will see it? I
am with this one. Yeah, I think you have to look at it project by project. I think you got to go, what's that? I watched Roma, for example, recently on the small screen, and I kind of thought, I wish I saw that on the big screen, which it did. Had a big release like that. But for a film like this, it's getting a bit of both. We have a limited release. It's a very particular subject matter, and it's a small film. But I think this sort of video on demand thing is really cool. It's on Amazon Video and iTunes and all Sky Store and all those kind of things. I think it's a really good way of watching this particular film. And I think you just have to be discerning about. It's kind of like plays, like a little intimate two-hander play. You don't want to be putting on the Palladium. You just got to get the right thing. And for this one, I think it's really right. So I welcome it. I do. I definitely welcome it.
Did your director and writer have any sense of I guess the budget was obviously quite small.
Yeah.
So they have a sense of, well, if this is seen in this many people, then we've been successful.
I think you always attempt to make it. It's still very cinematic, and there's beautiful vistas in it.
The opening shot is pretty,
it's beautiful. Really stunning. And I think you just make the film, and then you kind of negotiate that stuff afterwards. But we definitely wanted to feel filmic in scope, and I certainly, with Donald as a central character, feels really filmic. And we kind of worked on making sure that everything was seen from his point of view, because heroes like that aren't seen too often.
Yeah, and I guess for an actor, when you're in an independent movie and you're doing it for, I guess, 20, 30 days, something quite quick, and there's like a little group of you, as this one is.
Yes.
It must create a great camaraderie.
It really does. It really does. Actually, sometimes the death of creativity is when you've got too much time. I mean, I know it's terrible when you're losing the light and you're on an independent film. You think, oh my god, we got to get this, but it actually adds a bit of something. And sometimes on big movies, and you've got 2 weeks to do a scene, and you sort of can't remember what the it breaks your imagination a bit. So you try not to move too far away from the simplicity of being playful and telling a story. And sometimes when there's a big budget and makeup and huge set, and things just take forever, or CGI and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, it's sometimes that's the thing to really battle against. So sometimes making independent films where the focus is just pick up the camera and try and play as much as possible can be really refreshing.
Yeah, I thought for this one it kind of helps with the character, because he wants solutions
pretty
much
exactly,
straight away.
Exactly,
so that pace I guess helps the story.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And also I remember interviewing Denise Gough for Colette.
Oh yeah,
she's like one of an actor like you that does so many amazing things, and then she pops up in This American Indie with blonde hair and everything
absolutely
else. She's amazing, isn't it? I mean, what was the relationship between you? I mean, do you know her?
Yeah, I know Denise. Yeah. Well, it's sort of Irish American, so Denise is Irish, as you know. So yeah, it was brilliant. She's an absolutely brilliant actor. It's kind of what I mean. We did actually the big scene that we had together was, shot in this outside Griffin, Georgia. Saturday night, people beeping the horn, lots of rap music, drive-bys. It was hardcore. So you got to have somebody who's on it with you, and she's so alive and brilliant, and it's kind of fun. It's fun. It's scary, but it's fun.
Yeah. Is he a character that you'll miss now that you've had to kind of distance?
I loved playing it. I have to say, I found it quite bleak. It was very good to be actually in the middle of mid-America and see the apathy and really beautiful people, and definitely beautiful things around there, but I was glad to leave it alone in a way. I, under the guise of being method, just ate whatever I wanted, and didn't go to the gym, and all that kind of stuff, which I'm pretending I did for the character. It was hard having ice cream for breakfast every day. It's very difficult. Yeah.
That's like me. Never mind. It's all good. So I just wanted to ask you very quickly, obviously, about the huge, amazing, crazy success of Fleabag, which you've been involved with, which is, I mean, it's been a wild success. So many amazing things, so many great things, and now people are, it's coming to an end now, which people are quite shocked by.
Yes, I know.
How did that kind of experience differ to say something like Sherlock? Because they're both big British TV shows that have gone overseas and become big hits, and I know you play two different characters, but has the experience been any different, or?
Yeah, it has. It's been very different, actually. I was really looking kind of after Sherlock, because Sherlock is, well, Moriarty is a very particular type of character in the sense that he's kind of baroque. It's big stuff, and it's not. I was very much looking to play something where it was a little nearer to my own self and something a bit more human. I love that kind of. I like watching that kind of acting and drama in drama and comedy, and it was very sort of playful. And I love the idea of comedy and tragedy existing at the same time. And I think that's what's so special about Fleabag, is that everybody's so vulnerable, and everybody's fallen in love, and whether that works out or not, it stays with you. People feel the pain.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I love the fact that people have responded to it, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. It reminded me a little bit of The Office in the sense that it was out there, but then slowly but surely it's become bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's gone all over the globe, and everyone's talking about this and talking about Phoebe and killing Eve and everything else.
It's great. It's great. It's wonderful to sort of. I was talking to Phoebe yesterday on the telephone. She's in New York at the moment, and you're trying to remember what you were doing on the day at the time, and it's wonderful that it just then belongs to the public. It's something that's so personal, and then it becomes, people have writing all these things about it, and but I think the public really see themselves in those characters, and I do think that's chiefly because Phoebe's allowed all the characters to not be perfect TV characters.
Do you miss Moriarty? Is there any? Obviously, you've had a few specials and you've had 3 seasons. Now a bit of time's passed because Benedict's saving the universe and doing all that kind of stuff. Do you miss him? Are you hopeful that you get to go and see him again, or are you kind of?
Do you miss Benedict?
No, it's Moriarty.
Not Moriarty.
Are you kind of happy that if it's finished?
Yeah.
Are you kind of happy with what you've done, or?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. No. I feel very much that is a chapter that's closed now, it was amazing. But absolutely. That it sort of feels over. I mean, the door, as others say, is never closed, but it does. It does feel. It feels in the past now. Yeah. Just
finally, I wanted to touch on you going to work with Sam Mendes.
With Benedict.
Which is crazy. And there's a mate of me, Mark Strong. You've got
Mark
an
Strong,
amazing cast
Colin
in there.
Firth,
Are you doing that now, or
at the moment, currently? Yeah.
How's that experience been? Because he's been off making James Bond films, and now he's coming back to.
I was in one of them.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
But it's brilliant. I worked with Sam. It's kind of amazing. Also with Phoebe, 10 years ago we did a play together, and just before that play I'd worked with Sam. So it's nice working, because the theatre is very bonding. You get to know people very well, and so this is my 3rd time working with Sam. So it's brilliant. I have great fun with him.
Great stuff. We'll look forward to that one.
Yeah,
thank you so much. I really enjoyed the movie.
Thank
you so much for your time. Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!